Head coach Laurie Henes of NC
Yeah.
State, head coach of the top-ranked FloTrack, the defending national champion. And in March of 21, NC State finished second in Stillwater to BYU. Dave Smith, Oklahoma State. Entering the weekend, he coaches the third-ranked women's team, the fourth-ranked men's team. He has won 3 national titles at OSU. Ricardo Santos of Stanford. Stanford enters the weekend ranked number 1 in the country. Stanford is also the only program in the country to have both men's and women's teams finish in the top 6 nationally in 21. And Mike Smith, head coach at Northern Arizona, has won 4 cross-country national championships on the men's side. Was a national champion in 21 at Stillwater, and enters the weekend ranked 2nd. NAU has finished 1st or 2nd in the men's side of each of the last 6 years.
Oh, shut up.
So we will start, raise your hand, we'll give us a chance to get the microphone to you. We'll start with head coaches.
Dave, I'll send this one your way. I know Natalie Cook had said, to help manage nerves, you've been telling everyone that it's just going to be a regular race tomorrow. Do you think your athletes are buying that?
No. No, but it's worth a try. I mean, we went out there and looked at the course on Wednesday. No one's there. And I said, hey, look at the course. See, it's just a course. It's grass. In a couple of days, it's going to look different. But you got to make all that disappear and just see the course that you've run over and over and over again, this last year. And it's just the same old course. There's going to be some distractions, some people around you. Ignore them and let them fade away. But, it's hard to do.
Is it more challenging to do that at home versus on the road?
No, I think there's a certain familiarity, that Taylor Rose said it best in one of our meetings. She says, any 2 minutes on that course, I know where I'm going to be 2 minutes later. She says, every place I am, I know where 2 minutes is. And that's, that there's a certain comfort and familiarity that comes with that, where you can just kind of relax and think we've done this over and over and over again. Now, you still got, these people showing up and ruining the party a little bit, but I think it's probably easier here than at a place that's everything's new and, you're kind of a lot more uncertainty.
Dave Hunter, Track and Field News. For all 4 of you here, I mean, you have really exceptional teams that are going to be competing in this. And then blended in there is you have athletes have legitimate shots to win the individual title. So how do you work with your athletes to give both those pathways a fair shot? So I'd like to hear answers from all 4 of you if I could. Thank you.
We don't ever talk about individuals winning. That's an outcome. We talk about executing great team races. A great way to help your team is to score 1 point, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've talked about it. Obviously, we have, Charles Hicks was up here before, and we have a few others that can be up there in the mix. So, like Coach Smith just said, the best way to get the least points is to have as many people up there. So for me, we discuss it on both fronts. I talk about it with the individual athlete and what they can accomplish. And as a team, collectively, we talk about what we want to accomplish as a team and how we want to race as a team too. So, our sport is a little bit of a weird one because it's a team sport, but it's also an individual sport. So, I try to talk with them about it and using both angles.
Yeah, for me, kind of similar to what's being said. I think, no one's really talked team title, although, Alex Mayer said to me earlier in the year, he said, Coach, just so you know, I have some pretty high goals, so I'm willing to take a little more risk if you're willing to do that in training. And I said, Alex, I know what your goal is. You don't have to state it. We can just keep training. So we kind of focus, I think, like they said, on running great races, being the best position you can, talk about ranges of places we want to be. And, there's a lot of things you can't control as an athlete. You can't control how good Charles Hicks is. And there's nothing you can do about that. So you got to focus on running this course the best you can run it. And at the end, we'll see, let's race the last 1,000. But the first 9,000, you got to run the course. And we know how to run the course. So run the course and see where that puts you. And if you can sniff it in the end, then go for it.
They took all the good answers, but no, I don't think those two things are at odds. Just like everyone said, the least points your top athletes can score, the better off the team is. So, same as Mike said, we don't really talk about specific individual races. It is more of a team race, but obviously when you have individuals with an opportunity to run up at the front, we talk about the strategy of that. But it is more focused team-wise, I would say, for us. And but again, yeah, the least points that you can score up front, the better off you are team-wise.
Thank you.
Hey, yeah, this.
No, you're good.
Okay. This question is for Coach Laurie. I know Caitlin Tui. She mentioned that she hasn't redlined or anything like that. With a talent like her, how much coaching do you feel like you have to do?
Well, there's a lot of holding back, as you can imagine. But I feel like really our group is like that. I feel like sometimes that is the biggest part of my job right now, which is fun. She said here a couple of minutes ago, pressure is a privilege, and I think that is a little bit of a cliche, but we really do focus on being grateful to be here and really working with her teammates. So she is an amazing team player. Sometimes someone at that level or coming from that level in high school might not be, you're not sure they're going to be as team-oriented as you want in a program like ours. She has been that and more. And so the focus for her is really been on elevating her fitness and helping her teammates do the same thing.
Thank you.
Yes, this for Coach Henes. This is David Woods of Dystat Runner Space. Do you want your runners to be mindful of what, say, New Mexico is doing during the race? You guys have had a couple of really close duels, or is that even possible in the course of just a 20-minute race?
Yeah, we don't talk about that necessarily because I think even if you did want to do that, you're not sure you're going to be able to find that situation within a field this large. There's definitely very specific things we want to do team-wise. If it's easier to find your teammates since you're starting in the same place on the line. So there's definitely very specific things we want to do there. But yeah, I mean, clearly if you are in a situation where they said last year they were in a situation where it was actually very easy to see, oh, here's some New Mexico athletes or here's some Colorado athletes or, whatever. So when that happens in a race, for sure, they're going to be aware of that. We talk about it not being a +1, -1. It's a +1 and a -1 when you get someone from obviously a school that you're competing against. So that kind of 2-point swing instead of a 1. So yeah, sure, they'll be aware of it, but it's not something that they'll be focusing on going into the race.
Yeah, a question from Mike Smith. Wondering, can you evaluate how you think your team's season has gone this year on the men's side, and also why you made the decision to race Colin Solomon this year instead of redshirting him?
It's been an interesting season for our men's program. Past seasons I've coached at NAU, we've had a lot of affirmation in September and October, and this has been a season where we have not got a lot of affirmation from our early season meets. We've gotten lots of affirmation from training, and I think from our conversations in our locker room. But what matters is our race results. So we've had to find it in other spots. The momentum right now, I would say, is really good. It's been positive, trending in the right direction, which is not a little thing. I've had years where I couldn't wait day by day, week by week for this thing to be over. And right now I'm feeling like, we could keep going right now. This is a really good feeling to have. And I know in years past that's something I've wished I've had. So I like the momentum right now. Why it's been like that, longer conversation. I'm not sure why the slow start. I think we've made some mistakes on my end, and our athletes have made it interesting for sure. Decision race, Colin Solomon. Second part of your question. Colin was high school national champion in cross country, but we left some uncertainty, probably there recruiting him of just would it be year one that he could contribute to 10,000 meters. As an 18-year-old, we thought in training that, which is the best guess we can get, we thought in training that he was someone who could make an impact on what we're doing. So we made a decision to race him, and we feel like it's a good one. He's definitely made an impact on what we're doing in lots of ways.
Yeah, I got two for Coach Ricard Santos. First one is, how's Cole Sprout doing right now? And second, how confident are you guys just with all you've done this season coming into this meet?
Yeah, I mean, Cole Sprout's great. He trained this week. He's feeling good. He's ready to go. Second part of the question, with how we feeling with our training this year and how things have been going. Look, we're the number one ranked team. but to me, rankings don't mean much. It's just people's other coaches out there, their opinions. So, looking at what we've done day by day, I'm really pleased with what we've done. Really pleased with our races. So, but at the end of the day, nothing. It matters what happens tomorrow. And so the guys are in good spirits. We've had a good trip out here. We're enjoying it, enjoying the experience, and they're ready to go for tomorrow. And now it's in their hands.
This question is for Coach Dave Smith. I know a few days ago you called this a dream come true to host. What message are you trying to send to the NCAA and just the nation that OSU is just a cross-country powerhouse?
Well, your first prior question is true. This, 15 years ago, I told my team, I sat around like we all do, dreaming what it would be like to win the lottery and where I'm going to spend my money, who I'm giving it to, who I'm going to say, no, you don't get any. Just delighting in those moments, right? And here I am actually going to spend the money. And 15 years ago, Coach Weiss and I, 20 years ago, we sat around on our old cross-country course that was, basically a cow pasture and thinking, man, imagine hosting nationals up here. It was a dream. It wasn't real. And then to have an administration that was willing to invest the resources we invested in that course to make it to what I think is the greatest cross-country course in the world. And the NCAA to recognize that and give us not one but two opportunities in this window after COVID giving us a second shot to host the national championships. And then to have two teams and a couple individuals on both teams that are all in the conversation, it's like that's the holy grail, right? So for me, this is awesome. I'm going to do it with all my friends. They're all in town, coming to our place, hang out with all these people that I've admired and respected and hated over the years, right? And they're all here, so it's awesome. This is a dream come true. And I keep telling the team, whatever happens on Saturday doesn't matter, which is a bold-faced lie, but I'm going to keep saying it and trying to convince myself of the same thing. But I'm thrilled to be here. And I don't even remember what your question was, but this is awesome. Having the NCAA here, I even like those guys, we're sending the message that we need to come back.
Follow-up question for Dave, also about the course. I had one coach yesterday describe it to me as like running on a carpet, and I'm curious, what kind of maintenance goes into this thing? How often is it mowed? Can you tell me what goes into maintaining this course?
It's unbelievable. We got a guy up there who does an incredible job. He was a former golf course superintendent. Our former AD, Coach Holder, hired him away to come manage this course. We spend a ton of money on it. He spends hours. He's got also a crew of people that work with him. It's his full-time job. This summer we had a severe drought. It took a lot of water to keep that grass growing. I mean, a lot of water. I think we went 30 or 40 days without a drop of rain and a couple different times. So it's miraculous what he's done to keep that course in the shape it's in. Again, just thankful to have an administration that supports this and a sport that's kind of a niche sport. We're spending, a lot of money keeping that course to the level it is, and we continue to invest in it to improve it year by year. It gets a little bit better. I think from those of you who were here before, we've improved it from the last time you were here, and we want to continue doing that. So then we get back here in 26, it looks even better. Did I let that out of the bag too soon?
So you guys all have superstars up front, but anybody who's going to win is going to have to win it at 4, 5, and 6. Can you talk about just the challenge of finding that runner, whether it's financially be able to bring them on, whether it's developing and training that person, but these are the guys that'll be the winning woman or man, and the difficulty of excelling in those spots, 4, 5, and 6.
I would just say that what you're saying is right. It's easy if you're up at front, and your job. My job is these three people, and it's very simple. The chaos is separated. I know what I got to do. I can see it. I can measure it. Coach Henes talked earlier about it's hard to find someone when you're deep in the pack and you're in the thick of that chaos and all the bells and alarms and whistles are going off in your head and you got to climb another hill and you don't know if you're turning once or twice. It's hard to calm down and sort of figure out I'm in 80th place, but I'm 2 seconds out of 40th. Am I good or do I need to move? That's hard to do. And I think those people are the ones that have the toughest job. The people back there who are, like you said, are going to win it for those two, right? They're the ones that got to figure it out. I think it's hard to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with Coach Smith on that. It's keeping those guys and women, keeping them mentally engaged in the race and letting them know that, hey, I know that they know that they want to be up there. We know as coaches that they want to be up there, but they have to run their race, and they can't get overzealous in a race like this, because if they do, then they're just going to hurt the team, and they're not ready for that level. So keeping them, having those conversations with them and having them mentally ready to be able to compete in the area that they should be competing and beating the people around them that they should be beating to help the team is always the biggest hurdle there.
Yeah, I would say I think we've been the most successful too when that's not necessarily I'm the number 4, I'm the number 3, I'm the number 5, right? I mean, clearly when you've got people like we have or a lot of these other people have up front, they know they might be the number 1 or number 2, right? But after that, we've been most successful. And I think we learned a lot from our ACC race this year as a team, where we had some people not run well, but we had other people really step up. And that's what we preach all the time, that the 7 people were lining up, any of them on that given day could finish in a place that helps the team reach their goals. And so I think that's when we've been the most successful. It doesn't always happen that way, right? But I think the last couple of years we've kind of been in that situation where we're not maybe exactly sure who's going to be 4, who's going to be 5, but we're hopefully, prepared that they're all going to be able to finish in a place that they need to, if that's what happens on that day, for the team to meet their goals.
Yeah, these roles are inherent to our culture at NAU, and our athletes know the jobs they have to do. We prepare them for that way before the races.
Question for Dave. Speaking to that point, I mean, everyone knows Natalie, but you have another freshman who's unbelievable, and in the team race, Billa Jepkuri might be the deciding factor in many ways. Could you just speak a little bit about her? I haven't seen many results from her previous to her time at OSU, but she's come in and made immediate impact.
She just got here from Kenya, and it's an entirely different culture, different way of life, different food, everything's different. And we've had international athletes many times in the past, and it usually takes, for even Western European athletes who have a very similar culture, it takes some time to adjust. For those coming from very different cultures, like East Africa, it can take a year and a half, 2 years. And for her to come in and just step onto our team, she missed a lot of time over the summer. She was a little ill, and then we had some problems getting her visa, and she had to be out of pocket and not able to train for a while. To come in and, our first race, we ran the Jamboree, and we've been doing tempo runs that are 3.5 loops of the women's course. So we put her on the race. I said, hey, Bila, just run with Taylor, run easy, or actually it was with Gabby, run with Gabby through until the last lap, and then if you can feel good, pick it up. Well, she assumed it was a 3-lap race because we've been in tempo runs at 3 laps. So she got to 2, and everybody's turning off, and she was like, where are they going? And so that's why she ran an extra race. We ran her back a couple weeks later. And just to see her, she went 20:15, which on our course is a top 10 all-time time on that course. And I think what she's done is amazing. I think if she's this good this quickly, the future is really, really bright for her. So, yeah, just she's blown me away.
More questions in the room?
The foreign athletes on your team, sometimes people are like, oh, I can't believe that. We should have it. What they add to your team in terms of culture and worldliness, what's the benefit of that?
Well, I'll tell you this. We got a young lady on our team from Israel and a guy on our team from Morocco. And Israelis are not allowed into Morocco. Okay? These people hate each other, right? Their governments do. And these two are best friends on our team. A young lady from Israel and a young man from Morocco. And you see that and you think, one relationship at a time, one team at a time, I'm getting kind of emotional here. You can kind of change the world, and I just think that I watched that happen, and I watch kids who, rural Nebraska kids who have never been outside their bubble, and now they're going to go to Europe and visit their friend in Lithuania, the country they've never even heard of before, and they're going to go over to Norway, and they might stop down in Germany. And I just watch their worlds expand and their perceptions of other people and who we are, and that they have a lot more in common with a young man or woman standing next to them who might be a different religion, different race, different social and economic background, but we have this passion for running that makes us much more similar to people in my own country who tell me I'm supposed to hate you, So I love having the international flavor and kids with all these different perspectives, and I just think it changes who we are. It changes our team and those around us, so I love it.
Gavin, Zoom questions?
Yes, our first question from Zoom is going to come from Jenny Carlson. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey guys, thanks so much for taking some time to chat today. I actually have a two-part question, and if I could start with Laurie. Laurie, I know you guys with your women's championship last year. I believe that was the first NCAA team title ever at NC State as well. I'm wondering if you could just reflect not only on the importance of for the program to win that title, but more broadly at your university winning that championship.
That was our first NCAA title. We actually won the women's AIAW national championships in both 79 and 80, I believe. And that was before the NCAA really had the women's side on there. So I think that, that's an important piece of history that I don't think should be left out, because we did win two of the, right before the AIAW blended into came under the umbrella of the NCAA. So for us, the history of that is big. We definitely did want to, win an actual NCAA team title. We've won a couple basketball titles, but that was our first NC State's first team title since men's basketball in 1983. So it was a big deal. It was pretty cool. You get the police escort, the bell tower, all that stuff, which was awesome. And I think our women do really actually understand the history of our program and feel, some responsibility to bring that back, and they did. So, it was pretty cool. I've been at NC State since 1988, so for me personally, also a big deal. My husband was one less All-American than me, but I can't remember the exact number. My daughter ran for NCAA.
That's got to be a lie.
That's true. 8 and 7, I think, something like that. But yeah. So personally, it was a big deal. It's very rare to be able to stay at the same place your entire career. I've been extremely fortunate to be able to do that, and it's a big deal for our family. And so for me personally, it was huge, and for the history of our program as well.
The second part of my question is for Dave. Dave, sort of along that same vein, Oklahoma State has never had a women's NCAA team championship. Obviously, the equestrian title a year ago was the first national team title, but not NCAA event. I hate to be adding the home course and national championships and all that.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny.
But, the chance to maybe get that first, what would that mean for you and for Oklahoma State more generally?
Well, I think we got 52 national championships here, or NCAA championships, and no women's NCAA championships. And there's been a friendly competition amongst me and some of the other coaches of women's teams here who have been close. Golf has been second. Tennis has been second. There's been some people have come. I think tennis came within one. They came down to a last shot winner take all point against Stanford and lost that, and it was kind of heartbreaking for all of us. So, but it leaves the door open for me to be the first. So I tell Chris Young all the time that he had a shot, and we would love it. We want our women's teams to have 52 championships to match the men's, and we got to get busy getting on that. So yeah, this would be a great start.
Gavin, any other same questions?
Yes, our next question is going to come from Ricky Quintana. Go ahead, Ricky.
Thank you. I do have a series of questions, but for the coaches, I'm traveling right now from the NCAA championships, and Jordan of Ohio came in and upset Milligan and the Masters. Not that that's terribly important to you all, but I just wanted to comment on what is your attitude with your teams, each one of you. Do you kind of like the underdog role, or do you like being the favorite for each one of the coaches? Please.
Yeah, I think Caitlin got a question earlier. Does it feel different this year than last year? And it does. I mean, I don't know. Does everyone prefer the underdog role? Maybe, but I think it's a little bit different mindset for sure when you're coming off of a title. I think Caitlin said it. We always say we don't defend anything at NC State. We talk about that with our ACC championships as well. I don't think it's not a term we like to use. You're like defensive or someone can come take it away from you. None of those things can happen. So we don't really talk about defending championships at NC State. We talk about each season is different, and you want that culture that you're building to just perpetuate into each season, and people go after their goals, which may be different each season. But, I think maybe people prefer the underdog, but it's fine to be the favorite as well.
Yeah, I think I've said this publicly before. I love being the underdog. I love being underestimated. I love proving people wrong. I think it's how I grew up. You know, we didn't have a lot when I was a kid and just felt like I had to kind of fight and scrap for everything, and I just love that. I think a lot of us do. I think the term blue collar gets thrown around, or there's a lot of ways to say this. I think we all kind of like that, and it's us against the world. I think that's a powerful motivator. But at the end of the day, I think as Ricardo said, these are just people's opinions, and being ranked number one just means that, you know, you got people that like you that want to vote for you, and, you know, everybody likes Ricardo, so he's ranked number one. So.
I mean, I'm going to echo that. Obviously, being the underdog, everyone really likes to be the underdog and kind of be that story and kind of come up and be the surprise. But that being said, you know, we're relishing our opportunity here as to be the number one ranked team, and we're not going to let that deter us from being motivated to get the job done tomorrow, and know that there's a lot of other great teams out there that it's just not a race with us up front and others trying to get us. It's going to be a really tough battle tomorrow, but yeah, would prefer to be the underdog.
Yep. I won't fall for that trap.
Never underestimate the heart of the champion, right? Isn't that what Ricard Jovanovic said?
Oh, man. I'm on year 7 at NAU, and the entire time I've been here, we've been in this position of high ranking or winning, and I've begun to see this as a great advantage that we have, and I'm happy that we've remained in this spot because I see the opportunities we've had to learn this game and also to not fall into the traps and mistakes that people make when they find themselves in these positions and they're not familiar with them, because the traps are easy to fall into. Smart people make big mistakes, and the pressure and expectation makes people that really do know what they're doing all of a sudden not know what they're doing. So I see this as a great advantage.
Anything else from Zoom?
Yes, for Coach Henes, I have a question. I just want to acknowledge Jack Batchelor's on the line here on Zoom, and he was part of the winning coaching combination that Laurie Geiger, he helped guide them to the AIAW championship back in 1979. Both last year's championship and the AIAW championship were won in Tallahassee. So if you win tomorrow, that'll be your first championship outside of Tallahassee. a lot of history there with the team. What has been the difference last year when you all won? You've had some very good teams come in, and your experience as the runner on your own team, what are some of the things that were special about last year's team that you saw that the other teams didn't have? That is it luck? Is it the camaraderie? Is it the chemistry? And if you can comment on that.
It's a little bit of all of that. You know, I think Coach Geiger actually hates the phrase good luck. You know, he said it's not about luck, it's about preparation. And you can really believe that 100%. And then, you know, like last year, Caitlin Tui falls, but manages to get up. So sometimes there's some luck involved. So there's a little bit of all of that. But I do think that, I mean, I've been there for most of that. Obviously, not 79 or 80. Let's not go that far. But I've been there for a lot of the good teams. And, I think over the years, you try to do similar things each season. You try to build this culture, but sometimes it really does come down to when you recruit the right people and they're able to help put in place what the coaches, what the leaders see and what they want in that, in that team. And we have just been super fortunate over the last probably 6 to 7 years of just bringing in people who really 100% buy in, really are all about the team building and working and helping each other be better. And so I think that has been the difference over the last, 3 or 4 years in this program.
As much as I hate to say it, the audio on Zoom is absolutely brutal. The one microphone that seems to be functioning well is Dave's.
Maybe that's his voice. Yeah, I don't know.
Like from Zoom, beyond this, maybe Dave, if you can help us out a little bit, maybe test that mic. That seems to be the best one.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. So with that said, anything else from Zoom?
I have one other question. question to ask her here today, but I just want to know for the coaches, tomorrow's going to be a big day for all of you. The course seems kind of wide open. I've never been there personally, and it's hard to be in all places at all times. What are some places that you're going to stand, and what are some cues you're going to look for from your team if it's going well or if it's going poorly? What are some of the things you are going to be looking for, and then what do you do in those situations?
Dave, you've got the good mic. Why don't you go ahead and start out first, then we'll pass it there.
Okay. Well, there's not a lot you can do once the gun goes off. And I think coaches take a lot of comfort in running around and yelling because I think it relieves our stress and makes us feel a little better about what's going on. But once the gun goes off, it's really up to the athletes. As I think Mike or Ricardo or probably all of them have said, our athletes are prepared before we get here. And they know what to do. We've talked about the what ifs and the could be's and the shouldas and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, each one of them is on a little island. They got to go out and figure out their own path. I'll be running around, and I have a plan already decided, which is different from anything I've done before on this course, of where I'm going to be and when, and that will go out the window as soon as the gun goes off. I'll forget where I'm going and end up running through the woods and all that kind of stuff. So it's organized chaos. I'm not sure how important it is. Half the time the athletes say, "I never heard you the entire time." I was like, "I was yelling right in your face." Yeah, I didn't hear you. I'm pretty good at tuning you out. So.
Yeah, kind of exactly the same as Dave there. I often have a plan, and I've found that if I try to run around on a course too much at my age, the hamstrings don't like that, and it usually doesn't work out well for me the next few weeks. So, but having said that, I really do believe there's not a whole lot you can say on race day. There are some very specific things that might be happening that you can let the athletes be aware of, but one of the things we always say is, there's not really a timeout here. It's not like basketball or something else where you can call a timeout. You can sit down with the person and say, like, hey, you made this mistake. Let's go fix this at halftime. That's probably not going to happen. So most of that really does happen beforehand, talking about the mistakes that could be made, how you want to respond to things, because it really is not necessarily about what actually happens. You can't control what other people do, but you can only control how you respond to it. So that's our big thing on race day, is controlling how you respond and running your own race. So yeah, sure, we'll do the running around and have a plan of where to be, but I do think it's something we want them to be prepared for before the race starts, really.
Coach Santos, if you don't mind, if you could really maybe kind of project your voice. I'm wondering if the voice volume is any part of this as well.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Yes, you sound like mine right there.
All right, good. So my plan for the race tomorrow is same as about a year and a half ago. I'm going to find Coach Smith and I'm going to follow him around because it's his home course, obviously, so he knows where to go. So if wherever he's going is going to be good enough for me. Look, we have athletes here. Every one of these athletes in this race has run probably hundreds of cross-country races. They are the best of the best in their age group, and you just have to trust them at this point. At this point, they know the game plan. You've talked over the game plan with them. And like Coach Laurie said, it's not like we have a halftime to say, hey, you got to adjust this or you got to adjust that. You just have to trust them now, and they have to trust themselves, and they have to trust the work that they've put in, and they just have to go out there and execute. And, sometimes they have it on the day, and sometimes they have a rough day, and you just try to teach them, hey, on that rough day, you just got to give 100% of what you have on that day. If it's just 90% of what you've got, if you give 100% of that 90, then that's all you can do. And you got to be proud of them to just go out there and give 100% of what they have on that day.
Yeah, we found over the years the best way to watch the course is on your phone. And so I'll be watching the ESPN coverage with some popcorn like everyone else, see what happens here. Probably warm in the tent, and let me know if we need to go to the finish line.